Okay, Vertex form. So you guys should have got something that looked like this when you graphed all these things in different colors, right? And we should have noticed that changing the H value, I just did air quotes, and then you couldn't see it. Uh, so changing this H value, that's how much it's going to move along the x-axis, just in the x direction, right? So one thing to notice here, though, let's say when you graphed x plus 5, the one in red over here. So get my pen so you can kind of see this. So like this one. Notice that when it was x plus 5, it moved to the left 5. And a way of thinking about that is that you can see when y is 0, right? When y is right there, you're kind of saying, okay, what would x need to be here to make y equal to 0? Well, x would need to be negative 5, and that's why it goes to the negative direction. So in this formula, when you look at the h value, you're always going to just kind of do the opposite of what the sign is. So if this is a negative, I don't know, like we got x minus 3 squared plus 2 or something, then I know that my vertex is going to move, or is going to be at positive 3, not 3. So it's kind of the opposite of what that symbol is. Okay, so we should have been able to figure that out. Now, if you change that trailing number, so, we got x squared plus k, then what happened is it went up and down, right? The x value didn't move, but up and down did move. And if it was x squared minus 4, then it moved down 4. If it was x squared minus 8, then it moved down 8, right? So this one's straight off, like you can just look at it. And again, our formula is going to be y is equal to, like x minus 3 plus 4. I know that my y value for my vertex is going to be at positive 4, right? So that one is what it looks like. So the x value kind of swaps. It's different. It's the opposite of what you would think. The y value is exactly what you would think. Oh, I forgot to square that. That should have been squared. Okay. So that's the vertical transformation, is that k value. And then lastly, we're just trying to look at the a value up front. So when you put a positive 2 in front of there, then that's this red line here, right? If you put a 1/2 in there, that's that green line there. So what happens is when you put a number less than 1, like a half, then it's gonna make it wider. It's gonna stretch it out wider. If you get a number greater than 1, it's gonna compress it. So the blue one was the original one. The red one's being compressed now. And the reason for that, if you think about it, is if you're wondering what y is, let's say when x is 2 and you're wondering what y is, well, so let's say here, like my purple dot, I'm saying, okay, when x is 2, y is 4 on that blue line, right? But if you change your equation to be 2 times x, that means that when x is 2, then you have to go 2 times that. That goes all the way up to 8 at that point. So you can see how you're going to start to squash this thing. You're going to start to make it, it's going to rise faster. And then the other thing to notice here is that if you get a negative out front, it flips it, so it's upside down. That's why that purple and yellow one are upside down, right? And you can think about it as being the same way as we talked before, where if it's a positive number out front, then it's a happy face. If it's a negative number out front, it's a sad face. So you should be able to use that to figure out which way it opens. Okay, so what is the pattern when you graph y is equal to a times x squared? It's that stretch factor. So if a is greater than 1, it's going to compress. If a is less than 1, it's going to stretch. And then if a just say if a is negative, then it's going to flip. All right, so that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys figured these ones out. that you should be able to figure out the vertex just from looking at these things. I can just read the vertex right off of this. If you know that this sign is going to be the opposite of what I would think, and this one's going to be the same. So I would just say, okay, the vertex is going to be at not positive, but -6, and then -6 and -4. So once it's in this vertex format, you can just, yeah, that's why it's helpful. All we have to do is kind of think about this a little different. So if you could rewrite this as 2 times, instead of x, what if I wrote that as x minus 0 and then squared? That's the same thing, right? That's still x squared minus 8. And now from this, you can see that there is no transformation in the x direction, right? It's going to just stay at 0. So that's why you can see our yellow one didn't move left or right. It only moved down because our vertex was -8 there. Okay, so here's kind of what we found in the end. So if you guys didn't get this written down or didn't you found something different, go ahead and pause the screen right now and just write these things down here too, because this is going to be important. So, okay, that's going to be it for that one. See you guys in the next lesson.